All right. So Gorillaz Demon Days in 2005. I know you're a fan of Gorillaz because your band, the Dare Nots, covers Gorillaz, I believe. So how 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 does this album come into your life?
Uh, this album comes into my life uh, in my 1A days, like Streetsville days. Um, the summer, it was like a summer day. Like the single was already kind of going, what's it called,
Feel Good Inc.
Feel Good Inc. was going, obviously. So that was a huge song. So that's how I guess heard it. But the Al one of the guy, maybe it was, I think it was Pat, my buddy Pat, used to be in illScarlett. He had the album and he was playing it, and I walked into to the apartment, and it was the song before Feel Good Inc., Dirty Harry, that was playing, and I didn't know what this was, but it was just such a new sounding thing to me. It just like right away, it's like what is this? Like, what are we listening to? Like, I need to invest, like I need to get into this
That
right
song
away.
has a great groove, like a great
Amazing.
feel
It's
to
just
it.
like it just, I'm surprised. Was it a single? I don't think it was.
I think it's one of the four
Okay.
singles, but it's like a later single.
Yeah. So it was like, yeah, as it was kind of uh, on its way out, I guess. But that's the song that caught me. Like, what I didn't know was Gorillaz, and then they said it's the new Gorillaz album, and that's what made me like get that and see what's the rest of the album like. Um, and that album, yeah, that album, it was just one of those also perfect time and moments for me. A lot of nostalgia attached to it. It was like a cool time in my life, summertime, a lot of fun memories that occurred while it was out, while I was listening to it. So it's always stuck with me. Plus, I love the production. I love how it's like it's all over the map, but it works like cohesively. You have, whether it's the rapping, the beats, the just little like skits that are in there. It's very creative, like extremely creative. And it's even a contrast to their first album, where it's like, seems like the first one was let's try this, and the second one was like let's focus on this, because it clearly there was a bit of success. There was big success with the first one, but this one was more, just more rounded. What's the I think Danger Mouse
Produced it.
was the producer, which I'm a huge fan of Danger Mouse and everything. Even to this day, some of the stuff that he puts out is just like very creative. I love his take on kind of like dirty samples, and yeah, that album just really connected with me at a time in my life where a lot of cool events were happening. illScarlett was also starting to kind of get a little bit of traction, so that was like, a bit of a soundtrack for that summer. But yeah, what fun facts do you got for this one?
It's funny. Sometimes albums are ahead of their time. So they come out like this when it comes out, and it only got modestly positive reviews. It wasn't like critical acclaim or overwhelming critical acclaim. And it's over time that in retrospect, it's now considered one of the greatest albums of all time. So I have something here. So Demon Days is now considered to have left an indelible mark on the alternative music, and has since been hailed as iconic, classic, timeless, and a modern masterpiece. And it, when it came out, it just, it did very well because of the singles, but critics still thought, because of the first album, they thought that was kind of a gimmick. And
Uh-huh.
then on this album, it's like, okay, well, there's something here, and it's a little less of a gimmick, but it's like they hadn't warmed up to this is actually like genius stuff going on with Damon Albarn. And over the years, all those albums since then have been the greatest albums of the years that they're released. They're all nominated for Grammys and up for album of the year. And Gorillaz are one of the biggest bands in the world, one of the most acclaimed band. They sell out arenas.
Yeah.
But back then, it's like they still hadn't had their due come to them. So it's
Right.
kind of crazy to think that it's like we don't get it when it first happens.
Yeah, I absolutely got it. Like that, it just I was hooked automatically. I've never been one to like read the reviews and base my facts and opinions off that. I think illScarlett's got burned on so many reviews that it just like I had to shut that part of my my life off. It's just like, okay, well, that's just a person's opinion. And then like if I listened to a crappy review of Demon Days and would have just let that one slide because someone didn't like or whatever, you know, it's a gimmick. Okay, well, it's a gimmick, I guess, but it's creative. The music is awesome. It makes you feel something. I don't know. I personally, as soon as I heard Dirty Harry was the first thing after the single. I love the single, but when I heard Dirty Harry, I was like, I need to really get into this album. And
so there were 4 singles. We've mentioned 2 of them already, Dirty Harry and Feel Good Inc. There was also Dare and Kids with Guns. So Kids with Guns, I don't remember being a single. So I guess, again, it was on the way out, the final single.
Dare was awesome.
Yeah. So the first single, Feel Good Inc., that won them a Grammy. So best pop collaboration with vocals. And even though the first album did well, because Clint Eastwood was such a big single, the album still sold millions. But this album went on to sell 8 million copies. I had no idea it was that big. Did you have any idea it was that big? That's monster. 8 million. It's crazy. I had no idea.
I didn't know that.
No idea it was that big. I have a thing here that kind of, for our listeners that haven't had a chance to hear Demon Days, I have a description from Damon Albarn himself that kind of paints a picture of the album. So Albarn says, the album is meant to be a depiction of a journey through the night in which each track represents a confrontation with a personal demon. So
cool.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. So it's like almost like a concept album of some sort.
I have two I guess two quick reviews, and then one little thing about Dirty Harry. So Diffuser has called Demon Days a dense and atmospheric. Let's start that again. Diffuser has called Demon Days dense and atmospheric, one of the most innovative albums of the 21st century. And then Mixed Frequency said that Demon Days is as dense as a 50-minute album can be, packed with hit after hit, feature after feature, and changes in musical style so fast that it can give you whiplash if you're not prepared for it. It's a dark, apocalyptic album that brims with energy and funk, a pop music oxymoron in every fiber of its being. It's an idiosyncrasy made manifest, something that uses sounds from every possible corner of the musical world and blends them together, in turn sounding almost entirely its own. So I thought those were good descriptions of the album. And the last thing is, you were talking about Dirty Harry is the first song you heard. I was mentioning that I thought it had a great groove to it. I didn't know this, but in 2020, that song started trending on TikTok because people were making their own videos that featured them as cartoon characters in reference to Gorillaz. So we talked about TikTok with you and the Pior family, and TikTok brought Dirty Harry back to being a success back in 2020. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
No, I didn't. But that's amazing. TikTok is pretty interesting for that, like bringing songs that are just feels like they've been long gone and forgotten, and all of a sudden it's charting, and it's giving life to artists once again. It's like almost like winning the lottery 12 years later or something.
Yeah, that happened with Fleetwood Mac Dreams, the guy with the ocean spray skateboarding on TikTok.
Oh yeah,
that went viral, and then Dreams was a legit top 10 hit. Like, it was a new song again. It was top 10 on Billboard, and they ended up selling a ton of albums again because of one TikTok video.